Xiaomi 14 versus the iPhone 15 Pro. Two flagship compact smartphones, but which one is the better one for you? And while they're both similar in size, there are a lot of differences in them. So the iPhone 15 Pro works on the A17 chip, which is amazing for everyday tasks because it's so powerful that you can even play AAA games on the go on it. While this maybe isn't the best way to play those games, it just shows how good this chip is. While this, the Xiaomi 14, works on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is pretty much the top of Android smartphones, and you can literally see it playing any games at highest quality settings. So both these chips are amazing, but they're a little bit different. There are two really high-end chips in both of these phones, so you can play all the modern games in highest quality settings on both. The iPhone actually works on 8GB of RAM, where the Xiaomi works on 12 or 16 depending on your model. You can actually find in other regions 8GB of RAM for the Xiaomi 14, but in most regions you're gonna find the 12 or 16GB of RAM, while the iPhone, like I said, is on the 8GB of RAM. So it's a little bit different. Maybe you're not gonna feel it on the iPhone because of the software optimization, where on the Xiaomi, it's good that you have as much power as possible. Thanks to which, even if something isn't as optimized as on the Apple, it's gonna actually brute force through it. Both of these phones have a nice AMOLED display, and both of them aren't the biggest in terms of size. So the iPhone has a 6.1 OLED display, while the Xiaomi has a 6.36-inch AMOLED display. Being that they're an OLED and AMOLED displays, they're amazing in terms of color accuracy, visuals, contrast, colors, everything looks amazing on both. But the iPhone has the XDR display, which is really good. Like the sharpness, the color accuracy, everything just looks really good. The contrast is definitely there. While the Xiaomi's has the AMOLED display, which, let's be honest, AMOLED displays are amazing, which means that it's beautiful in all use case scenarios. One benefit of the Xiaomi screen is it can go from 1 Hz up to 120 Hz depending on what you're doing on the phone. So if you're gaming and you want more Hertz, you can have it up to 120 Hz on the display. But if you're maybe just doing something more static, it can go down all the way to 1 Hz. In terms of brightness, I would say the Xiaomi is definitely the brighter of the two. Maybe on the camera you can't see it, but its max and peak brightness are definitely better on the Xiaomi than the iPhone. The iPhone can go up to 1600 nits, with 2000 being its peak brightness, while the Xiaomi can go up to 3000 nits in peak brightness. And in harsh sunlight, you'll find that the Xiaomi actually can go really high, and you can literally see it in all case scenarios, where the iPhone tends to be a little bit more dim, and I feel like it's more like the software side doesn't want it to overheat. So in harsh sunlight, Xiaomi definitely wins. In case of the battery, the iPhone has 3650 mAh battery with 25 watts charging, and it can actually support the wireless charging. While the Xiaomi has a bigger battery with 4610 mAh battery with 90 watt fast charging, wireless charging, and also reverse charging from this phone. So in that department, I would say Xiaomi definitely has a bigger battery, faster charging, and overall, I would feel like it can last a little bit longer than the iPhone in daily usage. But for both of these phones, I feel like the battery is well optimized with the software, so both of those phones are gonna last you the whole day. One thing you're gonna notice is in the box, the iPhone only comes with the cable, the USB-C cable, while the Xiaomi 14 comes with a cable, the charger, which is already a 90 watt charger, a pre-applied screen protector, and a case. It is a nice premium grayish case so that it doesn't start to get yellow with time, and it's a really nice premium case, and it's already in the box. So right out of the box, Xiaomi definitely has everything going for it if you want to have everything in one package, but also still have a really premium smartphone. Another thing is the security features. On the iPhone, you have the Face ID. It uses the LiDAR scanner and the selfie camera. You can actually see the face unlock, and then from here you can unlock the screen. While the Xiaomi has a in-screen fingerprint sensor that just works super fast and responsive, which is a nice touch to have, because sometimes you're not looking at the screen and it does just feel like that way is a little bit easier and faster, but also if you're just using the phone on a daily basis, you don't really have to have any kind of features because it's already unlocking on your face. So it's really cool, and because it's using the lidar scanner, it's gonna be harder to fool because it can actually scan your face in terms of like the depth, where if you actually use the face scan on this, it's gonna be based on the selfie camera without the lidar scanner. In terms of the software itself, the iPhone works on iOS 17, which is very smooth, really optimized, really clean and premium looking software. Everything just works the way it should be right out of the box. While the Xiaomi 14 works on HyperOS on Android 14. And as you can see, you have a lot of beautiful features on it, like the super wallpapers or the wallpapers with 3D, kind of like the Apple ones. But it also looks as good as iPhones. It works super smooth, super snappy. Everything just works straight out of the box too. So I would say in terms of software, they pretty much look identical. So when I'm pulling down the quick menus, they really are similar looking, and overall just the phone itself looks similar. If you look at settings, once again we have a case of everything being pretty similar. So all in all, I would say is similar experience. If you have other products from Apple, the iPhone is going to be the better one to pick because of the connectivity with your other devices. While if you have a Windows-based PC or have different kind of tech in your home from different companies, or maybe you're using the Xiaomi ecosystem, then the Xiaomi is definitely the one to get. So both these are going to be pretty similar in terms of software itself. Both of them are going to be premium, feeling snappy and good looking. And maybe the most important and favorite part for many is the camera. How good are the cameras on both of these phones? So both of them have triple camera setup. So the iPhone 15 Pro has a 48 megapixel main camera sensor, while the Xiaomi 14 has a 50 megapixel main camera sensor. iPhone 15 Pro has an ultra wide angle lens, which is 12 megapixel, while the Xiaomi 14 has an ultra wide angle lens, which has a 50 megapixel sensor. iPhone 15 Pro has a 12 megapixel sensor on the telephoto lens, while the Xiaomi 14 has a 50 megapixel sensor on the telephoto lens. So in general, I feel like cameras on both of these smartphones is really good. The biggest difference I've noticed is the color science, where the Xiaomi with the Leica cameras really has a really good camera color science. When you take a photo with the Xiaomi, you kind of feel like it's what you would see with your own eyes. The colors are really good, and it just seems natural. While the iPhones have really good photos and they're really nice to look at, but they're not realistic in a sense. They are a little bit more edited, and the tints tend to be a little bit more greenish or orangish depending on the setting. So overall, I would say it's really a preference base, and both of them are amazing, literally amazing in terms of smartphone photography. You cannot go wrong with either of them, and I'm just nitpicking because I'm testing them out side by side on the same kind of location and same kind of photos. But this is how I would see it. Just a little bit different, but both of them are amazing. In terms of video, the iPhone can record in 4K 60 frames per second. Also, you can record in ProRes in 4K 30 frames per second, or if you want to use the log format, you can actually do it in more, like 4K 60 frames per second, but you have to connect an external SSD to it when recording that way. While the Xiaomi can record up to 4K 60 frames per second, 8K in lower frame rate. Also, you can record in 4K 30 frames per second in a log format. Overall, both are amazing for video. A lot of people really love the videos from the iPhone, And I would say that Xiaomi really stepped up their game in both photos and videos, and a lot of times I found myself that sometimes I like the footage from the iPhone better, sometimes I love the footage from the Xiaomi better. Really depending on the situation, sometimes the iPhone looks a little bit more desaturated, while this looked more saturated. In my opinion, a little bit more eye-pleasing, but sometimes this would have way nicer dynamic range than the Xiaomi. So it was always like which scenario is going to be better for which phone. Sometimes the same video just seconds later looked different on both of the phones. So in both photos and videos, I might be a little bit more towards the Xiaomi, but it's kind of like a personal preference, and overall maybe being used to Xiaomi phones a little bit more, but overall both are top-notch camera phones for photos and video. You cannot go wrong with both of them. I guess it's gonna be preference, what do you like from your photos and how you like them to look, and same thing for video. But both of them are amazing in those departments. And one last thing, the iPhone has the titanium body, which has like the titanium frames, while the Xiaomi has like the silver, you know, glossy, really nice looking frames. I feel like in hands they're really similar. This feels like metallic, this feels like a little bit more glass, but both are really nice in terms of build quality. So in mid-2024, both of these compact smartphones are amazing. It's pretty much like a personal preference, and maybe if you're already using different hardware, maybe you have a little bit more interconnectivity with other devices, for example, HyperOS system or the Apple ecosystem. Whatever you use, that could be the deciding factor. But just straight for the phones, they're really both amazing phones. Both are amazing in their own right. It's really personal preference at this point. With that being said, that's gonna be the end of today's video. I hope you guys learned something new today. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.